History has witnessed many moments of collapse, but few were as dangerous as the days immediately after the death of Prophet Muhammad. The Muslim world stood on the edge of destruction. Tribes broke their loyalty. Powerful leaders denied the system of charity. And most dangerously, new figures began to rise, men and women who claimed to be prophets. In a matter of weeks, the unity that Prophet Muhammad built over 23 years was falling apart. Arabia was splintering into pieces. False prophets were gathering armies. Entire regions were preparing to march against Medina. The message of Islam, just delivered to the world, was under threat of being erased before it could even spread. At the center of this storm stood one man, Abu Bakr, the closest companion of the Prophet, and now the new leader of a fractured nation. Many thought he was too gentle to lead. Many advised him to compromise, but Abu Bakr did the opposite. With unwavering courage and trust in God, he declared, "If they withhold even a small portion of what they used to give, I will fight them for it." This was the beginning of a series of dramatic confrontations, known in history as the Wars of Apostasy or the Ridda Wars. These were not simple battles. They were a fight for the future of Islam, a fight against powerful false prophets like Musaylima, Tuliha, Saja, and others, each claiming divine authority, each threatening the unity of the Muslim community. In this documentary, we will explore why these wars mattered, how Abu Bakr made decisions that even the strongest companions questioned, and how victory in these conflicts saved Islam from collapsing at the very moment of its birth. Every topic that follows, from the chaos after the Prophet's passing, to the rise of false prophets, to the Battle of Yamama, is essential to understanding how Abu Bakr's leadership preserved the religion and secured the future of the Muslim world. This is the story of Abu Bakr versus the false prophets, the wars that saved Islam. The moment Abu Bakr stepped into leadership, the weight of an entire nation fell on his shoulders. The crisis was no longer distant. It was now inside Medina, threatening the very heart of the Muslim community. From the chaos described in the introduction, we move into the reality of leadership. Abu Bakr wasn't facing a single enemy. He was facing an entire map of rebellions, each tribe moving in its own direction, each claiming its own authority. What had once been a unified community was suddenly a collection of uncertain alliances. Inside Medina, emotions were raw. People were grieving the loss of the Prophet. Many companions feared that this was the wrong time to confront anyone. Some argued for patience. Others urged negotiation. The atmosphere was fragile and the pressure on Abu Bakr was immense. But he understood something crucial. If Medina hesitated now, the whole foundation of Islam would collapse. There could be no confusion about leadership, no doubt about the future, and no acceptance of divided loyalties. So while others feared the instability, Abu Bakr took a step most did not expect. He decided to confront every challenge directly, no matter how overwhelming it looked. His clarity of purpose, combined with his deep sense of responsibility, became the foundation for every decision that shaped the coming battles. This was the beginning of Abu Bakr's leadership, not in comfort but in crisis. And it set the stage for the dramatic confrontations that would follow. Next, we move to the heart of the threat, the rise of the false prophets who claimed power, followers, and control over the future of Arabia. As Abu Bakr began stabilizing Medina, a new and far more dangerous threat was emerging beyond its walls. The rebellions were not just political, they were spiritual. From the uncertainty described in the previous section, we now shift to the forces that sought to redefine faith itself. Across Arabia, charismatic leaders sensed an opportunity. With the Prophet no longer alive and the Muslim community grieving, these figures stepped forward claiming divine authority. Their goal was simple: replace the message of Islam with their own visions, gain followers, and build power. Among them were three names that would change the course of history. Musaylima, the most powerful challenger. A skilled speaker who convinced thousands that he too had received revelation. His influence reached far beyond his tribe, creating a movement strong enough to threaten the stability of the entire region. Tuliha, the warrior prophet. Known for his bravery, he blended military strength with spiritual claims. His tribe rallied behind him not only because of belief, but because of his reputation as a fearsome leader. Saja, the strategist. A woman with sharp political instincts, she gathered a coalition through persuasion, alliances, and promises of power. Her rise showed that these movements were not isolated, they were interconnected, feeding off the chaos. These individuals were not small local rebels. They were establishing parallel religions and parallel leaderships, each with armies and followers. Their rise created a completely new dimension to the crisis. Medina was not only facing political fragmentation, it was facing spiritual competition. And this is what made Abu Bakr's challenge far greater. He was not just defending borders, he was defending the identity of the faith itself. With these false prophets gaining influence every day, Abu Bakr prepared for a showdown unlike anything the Muslim community had ever faced. Next, we explore the mindset and strategy behind his response, how he stood firm when others hesitated, and how he set the direction for the war that was about to begin. As the false prophets gathered followers and built their own movements, the pressure on Medina reached a breaking point. This is where Abu Bakr's leadership became the turning force of history. From the rise of these challengers in the previous section, we now move into the decisive actions taken by the man responsible for protecting the unity of the faith. Now, many leaders in his position might have sought negotiation or compromise. After all, Arabia was fragmented, morale was fragile, and the Muslim community was still grieving. But Abu Bakr saw something deeper. If these false claimants gained legitimacy now, the very foundation of Islam would be rewritten. So he crafted a strategy built on 3 unshakable principles. 1. No division in faith. Any claim to prophecy after Muhammad was a direct threat to the belief of the entire Muslim community. Abu Bakr refused to give space to any movement that could confuse or divide people. 2. No political fragmentation. Allowing tribes to break their commitments would turn the unity of the nation into a collection of disconnected groups, each following its own path. 3. Immediate decisive action. Instead of waiting for the rebels to grow stronger, Abu Bakr planned to confront each uprising before it could spread. This required speed, boldness, and absolute clarity. This strategic mindset set him apart. Where others saw danger, he saw responsibility. Where others hesitated, he moved. His leadership created a sense of direction at a time when confusion could have been fatal. With the map of Arabia changing rapidly, Abu Bakr prepared his forces and selected the one commander whose name alone shifted the balance of any battlefield. Next, we follow the man Abu Bakr entrusted with the most critical missions, Khalid ibn al-Walid, known for his unmatched military brilliance. Abu Bakr's strategy was clear, but strategy alone could not secure the future. He needed someone who could turn direction into action, fast, precise, and unstoppable. And so, from the firm stance described in the previous section, we now move to the man chosen to carry it out. Khalid ibn al-Walid, may Allah be pleased with him. Khalid had earned a reputation that echoed across Arabia. His victories were not accidents, they were the result of fearless decision-making and an instinct for battle that few in history have ever matched. Abu Bakr understood that the threats rising across the region were not scattered rebellions. They were organized, confident, and growing quickly. To confront them, he needed a commander who could adapt to unpredictable situations and strike before enemies had time to unite. Khalid was that commander. Under Abu Bakr's direction, he began moving from region to region with remarkable speed. His campaigns were designed to dismantle the false prophet movements before they reached Medina's gates. Every march, every confrontation, and every victory sent a message across Arabia. The unity of the Muslim community would not be broken. Khalid's presence alone shifted momentum. Tribes that once felt powerful began to hesitate. Alliances that seemed unshakable started to crack. The rebels realized they were no longer facing uncertainty. They were facing a commander known for turning the tide of entire wars. And his first major test would come against a man whose influence was rising fast, supported by a tribe known for its strength and pride. Next, we enter the first major confrontation in this struggle, the battle against Tuliha, a turning point that revealed the true scale of the conflict ahead. With Khalid now leading the campaigns, the stage was set for the first decisive confrontation. From his rapid rise through Abu Bakr's strategic plan, We now move directly into the first major battlefield of this war, the confrontation with Tuliha. Tuliha was not a minor figure. He had a strong tribe behind him and a reputation as a fearless warrior long before he claimed prophethood. His followers believed he could stand against any force sent from Medina. This confidence made his rebellion one of the most dangerous early challenges. Khalid's mission was clear: prevent this movement from spreading and remove a rival who could inspire others to follow the same path. As Khalid advanced, Tuliha's supporters gathered in large numbers, expecting a victory that would amplify their leader's claim. The clash that followed became the first major test of Abu Bakr's plan. The battle was intense, and the outcome was far from guaranteed. Tuliha's forces fought with determination, believing they were defending both their leader and their identity. But the momentum began to shift. Khalid's discipline, speed, and military instinct broke the structure of Tuliha's army. What began as a confident rebellion quickly turned into a scattered retreat. Tuliha himself fled the battlefield, leaving his followers shocked and leaderless. This defeat sent a powerful message across Arabia. Those who claimed prophethood could be challenged and defeated. It was a turning point. The rebellion that once seemed unstoppable had been shattered, and yet this was only the beginning. As one false prophet's influence fell, another's was rising, weaving alliances and preparing for something far more dangerous. Next, we move to the unexpected alliance and ambition of Saja, whose actions would change the direction of the entire conflict. Tuliha's defeat marked the first major breakthrough for Abu Bakr's forces, but it did not bring an end to the crisis. From the collapse of one rebellion, we now turn to a far more complex and strategic threat taking shape beyond the battlefield. As Khalid dismantled Tuliha's movement, another figure was gaining momentum. Saja, a leader known not for military power alone, but for her ability to persuade, negotiate, and form alliances. She understood something crucial. No single rebel movement could stand alone against Medina. But together they might. Her rise introduced a new dimension to the conflict: rebellion backed by political intelligence. Instead of confronting the Muslim forces directly, Saja sought cooperation with the strongest remaining challenger, Musaylima, whose influence was expanding rapidly. What began as communication soon grew into a dangerous alliance, each side recognizing the advantages the other brought. This union was not built on shared belief, it was built on shared ambition. Saja brought followers, strategy, and legitimacy in the eyes of some tribes. Musaylima brought military strength, numbers, and a growing territory. Their cooperation signaled something Abu Bakr had hoped to avoid. The rebels were learning, adapting, and preparing to combine their power. For Medina, this alliance meant the upcoming battles would be far more intense than anything seen so far. Tuliha's fall had shown that individual movements could be defeated, but an alliance of major rebel leaders threatened to reshape the conflict entirely. And at the center of this rising storm stood Musaylima, whose claim to prophethood was gaining traction faster than any other. Next, we follow the events leading to the most defining clash of this entire war, the Battle of Yamama, Musaylima's final stand, and one of the fiercest battles in early Islamic history. Saja's alliance with Musaylima marked a turning point in the conflict, but it was also a signal of something deeper. The center of resistance had now shifted fully toward Musaylima's territory. From this newly formed union, we now move to the moment when the conflict reached its most explosive and defining stage, the Battle of Yamama. Musaylima was no longer just a rebel leader. He had become the strongest remaining challenger to the unity of the Muslim community. With thousands of followers, fortified land, and the confidence gained from new alliances, he believed he could withstand any force sent from Medina. Abu Bakr understood the scale of this threat. If Musaylima's movement survived, it would fracture the future of the faith permanently. And so he prepared the Muslim army for a confrontation unlike any that had come before. Khalid advanced toward Yamama, a region where Musaylima's forces waited in massive numbers. What made this battle different was not just its size, but the determination on both sides. Musaylima's followers were fighting for a leader they believed would reshape Arabia. The Muslim forces were fighting to protect the message they had sworn to uphold. The clash was brutal. Lines broke and reformed. The fighting turned close, relentless, and personal. It was one of the bloodiest battles of the entire era. Musailima's troops fought fiercely, refusing to retreat even when pushed back. But slowly the momentum began to shift. Khalid reorganized his forces, pushing deeper into the rebel ranks. The walls of Musailima's influence started to crumble. And in the final moments, a warrior who once fought against Islam and later embraced it fully stepped forward. Washi, known for his skill with the spear, struck the blow that ended Musailima's claim forever. The fall of Musailima broke the backbone of the rebellion. But the cost was severe. Many of those who memorized the Quran were lost in this battle, changing the course of future history. This victory marked the beginning of the end, the moment when the greatest threat to the unity of the Muslim community was finally removed. But the war wasn't just about defeating rebels. It was about restoring stability, rebuilding trust, and securing the future of a nation that had nearly fallen apart. Next, we move to the impact of these victories, how Abu Bakr restored peace across Arabia and secured the survival of the Muslim community. The Battle of Yamama had ended, and with Musailima's defeat, the most dangerous challenge to the Muslim community had been removed. From the chaos and bloodshed of Yamama, we now turn to what came next, the painstaking work of restoring peace and unity across Arabia. Victory on the battlefield was only the first step. Many tribes once inspired by false prophets were still uncertain about their allegiance. Abu Bakr faced the enormous task of rebuilding trust, ensuring loyalty, and re-establishing the system that had been disrupted during the uprisings. Through a combination of diplomacy and firm leadership, he addressed remaining pockets of resistance. Tribes that had wavered in their faith were approached with both firmness and fairness, ensuring they understood the consequences of rebellion while giving them a chance to rejoin the community. This phase was crucial. The victories of Khalid ibn al-Walid and the Muslim army had destroyed the strongest threats. But Abu Bakr knew that lasting peace required more than military success. It required political wisdom, moral authority, and the reinforcement of unity. By the end of this period, Arabia was largely stabilized. The rebellions had been crushed, false claims extinguished, and the Muslim community was once again united under a single leadership. The decisions made in these months would shape the structure and resilience of Islam for generations to come. Next, we examine the long-term impact of the Ridda Wars, why these victories were more than military achievements, and how they ensured the survival and growth of the Muslim faith. With peace restored across Arabia, the immediate threat to the Muslim community had been eliminated. From the careful rebuilding described in the previous section, we now step back to see the bigger picture, why these wars mattered far beyond the battlefield. The Ridda Wars were not simply a series of military campaigns. They were a test of the survival of the faith itself. By decisively confronting the false prophets, Abu Bakr ensured that Islam would not be fragmented or replaced by rival claims. His leadership demonstrated that the principles of the faith were stronger than individual ambition and that unity was non-negotiable. The consequences of these wars were profound. Preservation of the Quran. Many who had memorized the Quran were lost in battles like Yamama, which prompted the first organized effort to compile the Quran into a single written text. Strengthened leadership. Abu Bakr's decisive actions solidified the authority of the caliphate, showing that the community could endure challenges even after the prophet's passing. Protection of the faith's integrity. False claims of prophecy were crushed, sending a clear message that Islam's message could not be diluted or rewritten. Foundation for expansion. By unifying Arabia, the Ridda Wars set the stage for the rapid spread of Islam beyond the peninsula in the following decades. In short, these wars saved Islam from collapse at its most vulnerable moment. They proved that courage, wisdom, and decisive leadership could overcome even the most formidable threats. Abu Bakr's actions, and the sacrifices of those who fought alongside him, ensured that the message of Islam would survive and flourish. This concludes our journey through one of the most critical periods in early Islamic history, Abu Bakr versus the false prophets, the wars that saved Islam. Every battle, every decision, and every alliance mattered, shaping the future of an entire faith and a civilization. If you found this journey through one of the most critical moments in Islamic history inspiring, let us know in the comments which part shocked you the most. Was it the rise of Musailima, the brilliance of Khalid ibn al-Walid, Or Abu Bakr's unwavering leadership? Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Roots of the Ummah for more deep dives into Islamic history and untold stories that shaped our faith. Your thoughts matter. Comment below and join the discussion about the events that shaped the Muslim world.